What's going on, YouTube fam? This your boy Tony 2 times, and we back with another episode of Hood Tales, man. Before I start, be sure to tap that like button. Definitely watch this video to the end to hear the full story and all the details in the case. For all the day one fam, welcome back. Thanks for tuning back into another episode. Y'all already know it's all love. If you're new to the channel and you feeling the content, feel free to subscribe. Definitely hit that notification bell so you can be notified every time we drop a new video. Let's get right into the story. Love is tough. It can have two faces. One side, a couple is all bright-eyed, lovey-dovey, on the same page in life, to the point it even makes a person that likes being single second-guess themselves when they see them. That's the good side of it. Date nights, social media posts, all that. But on another note, when you are emotionally attached to someone and feelings are strong, if that person you gave your heart to crosses that line, you feel super betrayed. It feels like you have lost a part of yourself. If the relationship ends, especially on messed up terms, it can be so painful. Some people go off the deep end or never shake back, carrying baggage from one relationship to another. Everyone has their reasons for wanting someone to settle down with. Some might get involved because they really are feeling an individual and can see a future with that person. Some are looking for stability because the fact of the matter is, it's hard out here trying to survive with one income unless you have a lucrative career. Some might just live in a moment and are just kicking it with a person to see what happens. But with that, you definitely have to let the other party know, because some people wear their hearts on their sleeves. And what might not seem that serious to you could mean everything to the next man or woman. Oftentimes, lines get blurred. When real life hits, only a wife or husband is responsible to be there through sickness and health, for better or for worse. But in some individuals' minds, if we are in a relationship, the same rules apply, especially if I have things to offer and share them with you. That makes for a dangerous situation when someone looks at you as more than you look at them. And on this episode of Hood Tales, we will be taking it to Davenport, Florida, to discuss a man that came home from jail and snapped after he found out his ex-girlfriend moved another man into his home while he was gone. According to sources, back in 2020, 35-year-old Shauna Brown was a mother out here navigating life after coming out of a traumatic situation with the father of her 8-year-old son, who she had married back in 2012. Family and friends noticed a change in the young woman as time went on, and could tell from how timid she had become and how angry her son was becoming. Some physical things might have been going on at the home. Despite that, the young lady kept her head up and managed to get her and her son out that environment, and even pursued teaching. Somewhere in the mix of moving on with her life, the young lady met a New York native that was almost 15 years older, named Kenyatta Bellamy. The man had had a few run-ins with police back in the day, with a few charges, including weapon violations, drug charges, even a manslaughter. But Kenyatta has since relocated down south for a better life. It's not clear what year the two met, but the relationship got serious. Serious enough for Shauna's son to refer to Kenyatta as dad, and for him to move the two into his Davenport home. Everything seemed on the up and up, and everybody was happy. Until a 2018 incident, Kenyatta would be arrested on a DUI manslaughter charge, also other charges as well. While away fighting the cases, allegedly Kenyatta allowed Shauna and her son to stay at his home in Davenport. Almost a year would go by, and the 50-year-old would get a bond and finally bail out on March 24th, 2020. Happy to be home, he went straight to his house on Royal Ridge Drive. But once he got there, he would find a serious shock to find Shauna and her new boyfriend, 28-year-old Donovan Morgan, at the home. It seemed Donovan had moved in. Mad about the situation, the man tried to stay calm. A few days would go by, but on March 27th, just 3 days after bailing out, things would take a turn for the worse. When Kenyatta was at the home pressure washing while getting some things out the house, allegedly he heard Shauna and Donovan being intimate. At this time, Kenyatta left, called his mother, clearly frustrated, and made plans to go to Miami to see her. But it was 2020, the height of the COVID-19 pandemic, so buses were not heading to that part of Florida. Mad about the situation, Kenyatta headed back to the home to confront his ex-girlfriend. He arrived to find her 8-year-old son watching TV. As he saw her and Donovan and thinking about them being intimate earlier that day, the man snapped, grabbed a hammer, and attacked the young lady. As Donovan was witnessing what was going on, he intervened and would also be struck. He fought back as the struggle started. Kenyatta grabbed a blade and sliced both China and Donovan, leaving the situation coming to a brutal end. He then started cleaning up and changing clothes before trying to cover up the scene. Kenyatta poured gasoline all over the room and decided to light it on fire, with China and Donovan still in there. He then went to get her son out the living room, and they left the house in China's car. He dropped the little boy off with family. Kenyatta then decided to go out to eat with his female cousin. While at the restaurant, he told her he was mad a man was living at his home, but he never stated what he had done. After dinner, he told her to drop him off at a store because he was too mad to go home. Later that night, Kenyatta's cousin decided to double back and go by the home to check on him. She banged on the door after smelling smoke, but no one opened the door. She then called 911 to report the fire. At about 10 p.m. on March 27th, the Polk County Sheriff's Office received a call of a fire. When first responders arrived to the scene, they discovered a recently put out fire in the master's bedroom. Inside was a gas can, a strong odor, and 2 victims. Unfortunately, they was already gone. They were 35-year-old Shanna and 28-year-old Donovan. The fire was now reported as a murder. Knowing Kenyatta's situation with Shanna, and he had just bailed out, police located the man and took him in for investigation. They noticed a fresh burn on his leg. Knowing he was caught, Kenyatta confessed to everything, stating he allowed Shanna to stay at his home while he was locked up, even left her money to pay bills. But he didn't know another man was staying there and was totally shocked. He also claimed he tried to keep his cool, even called his mother to leave the city, but lost it after he heard the two getting intimate in the bedroom. Kenyatta was charged with 2 counts of first-degree murder, arson, and tampering with evidence. As of now, I couldn't find any more information on the case as far as the trial goes. Rest in peace to China. I send my deepest prayers and condolences to the family, especially her son, who lost his mother to the hands of a man he called the father. This is a very touchy story, but I can say it could have been handled in a different way. It sounds like an intense crime of passion under intense circumstances. Kenyatta could have just told them both to leave his home, or it should have been some understanding and conversation about the status of their relationship. It's not okay to take a life over a broken heart. And if you help someone and allow them to live with you, you definitely got to make sure they feel the same way you do. I feel bad for Donovan as well. Bro probably didn't even know what was going on, and by the time he realized, it was too late. Moral of this story is communication. Even if you feel like a person is just a friend who is looking out for you, if they are the opposite sex, make sure you know how they feel and they know how you feel, so lines won't be crossed. And remember, we gotta succeed, not to fail, so we won't be just another hood tale. Man, crazy situation, man. Rest in peace to Shanna and Donovan. Like I said, I send my prayers and condolences to their family. It's a wild situation. Kenyatta say the house belonged to him when he talked to police. It been a lot of speculation whether the house was hers and he was just standing there and he felt betrayed because he was paying bills. But he did state that was his home. So at the end of the day, I'm not sure. Somewhere communication just got blurred. They stopped talking and he ain't know another dude was staring there. So when he came home, that was a complete shock to him. And he said when he heard them doing what they was doing, he just snapped, man. But yeah, y'all remember to keep it respectful in the comments. But definitely let me know your thoughts about this situation. I appreciate you if you made it to the end. Y'all already know it's all love, fam. This your boy Tony 2 times. This another episode of Hood Tales. I'm out. What's going on, YouTube, fam? This your boy Tony 2 times, and we back with another episode of Hood Tales, man. Before I start, be sure to tap that like button. Definitely watch this video to the end to hear the full story and all the details in the case. For the day one, fam, welcome back. Y'all already know it's all love. Thanks for tuning back into another episode. If you're new to the channel and you feeling the content, feel free to subscribe. Definitely hit that notification bell so you can be notified every time we drop a new video. Let's get right into the story. Life as a young adult comes with a lot of growing pains. Around 17 or 18 years old, we have passed the high school years and start to transition from being teens to young adults. You might go to college, start working, or some hit the streets. I can't judge a person. Whatever they feels like works for them. But sometimes them lanes get crossed. For example, you got a teenager that comes from a good home, finished school, and has a job. He or she decides to venture out in the streets, and something tragic happens, like they lose their life or go to prison, as the streets are unforgiving and definitely not fair. Being at that age, we go through experiences, and some are more drastic than others, like being a young couple with a baby on the way, trying to figure out life. It puts you in a hustle mindset, like it's not just me no more. I'm about to bring a life into the world that will depend on me for everything. It's commendable to do what you had to do for your seed. Some might even get a side hustle that causes them to dib and dab with people that don't have their best interest. And that's where things get tricky. And on this episode of Hood Tales, we will be taking it to Madonna, Georgia to discuss a case of a young couple's transition from teens to young adults that ended tragically. Back in 2019, Demir Robinson was 19 years old. He had just graduated from Woodland High School and was trying to navigate the adult world, especially when the young man found out he had a child on the way with his girlfriend of 3 years, 18-year-old Savannah Fulmer. Savannah was a senior at Eagles Landing High School. She was a star athlete who played softball and was well liked by classmates and coaches. The young couple were in love and excited to be having their first child together. Being a senior, Savannah was trying to make sure she graduated, as Demir was focused on trying to get some money to support his new family. Allegedly, from time to time, the young man would hustle grass to make ends meet. On November 27th, a day before Thanksgiving, 2019, the young couple were enjoying time with family, preparing for the holidays, and in spirit. That day, Demir's phone was jumping with a young man who was interested in copping something to smoke. 17-year-old Algernon joined her. The two young men made arrangements to meet up later. One of Savannah's family members agreed to let the young couple hold the car. Demir texted Algernon as him and Savannah walked outside to the whip. Savannah started driving, heading to the meetup spot to make the play. And after that, family and friends didn't hear from the two at all. The next morning, a concerned neighbor saw an unknown vehicle parked in their cul-de-sac on New Orleans Way in McDonough. As the woman approached the vehicle, she saw a young man in the passenger seat who appeared to be sleeping, and a young woman who also seemed to sleep in the driver's seat. As the lady looked closer, she saw the male had a hole in his temple. She quickly called police. As they responded to the scene, detectives realized the young man and woman were both shot once in the head. No bullet holes were in the outside of the vehicle. The two victims were unfortunately pronounced gone on the scene. They were later identified as 19-year-old Demir and 18-year-old Savannah. The community was in shock, especially once they realized the young woman was pregnant and the baby unfortunately was gone as well. News got out to the couple's families. They all seemed confused. No one understood why they would be in that neighborhood. Savannah's high school and coaches stated how she was always polite, a smart young lady with a bright future who was excited about graduating and having her first child. Demir was described as a go-getter, a smart young man on the right track who loved Savannah and was happy they were starting a family together. The witness who first found the car stated she saw the vehicle parked in front of her home about 9 a.m. that Thursday morning on Thanksgiving. She grew worried because she never saw that vehicle. That's when she decided to investigate and saw the two. Detectives started their investigation going through the couple's phone records and searching the crime scene, realizing the shooter was either in the car or right outside. As records came back, it showed text messages between Demir and Algernon talking about meeting up so the young man can buy some grass. The meetup location was the same spot the couple's body were found, immediately making the young man a suspect. Algernon was eventually tracked down. When presented with the evidence, he told detectives he planned to rob Demir for the grass and didn't even bring any money with him. When they met up, he got in the car, shot Demir in the head, and then Savannah before fleeing. It's not clear the amount of money or grass he got. With the confession, the young man was booked into Henry County Jail, charged with 2 counts of malice murder, felony murder, feticide for the loss of the couple's baby, robbery, and assault. He was charged as an adult and held without bail. As the case made its way to trial, Algernon entered a guilty plea to all charges, and now at 20 years old, he received life plus 25 years in prison. Savannah's family spoke out, and everyone was happy both families got justice, but it still wouldn't bring back the young couple or their unborn child. Rest in peace to Demir and Savannah. I send my deepest prayers and condolences to their families. It seems like Demir was just trying to make some extra bread for his peoples by selling a little grass. Nothing major, but unfortunately, you got people out here that take life for a little bit of nothing. I'm sure when the young couple walked to the car, they wasn't thinking it was their last ride together. 3 lives gone for a few dollars and some grass. I feel like if Demir would have thought his girl and baby were in danger, he probably would have never let her go or went alone. Algernon threw his whole life away for nothing. If he got the product and bread he came for, he could have just got out the car and got low. But this murder culture we are in, when everybody wants a body, is crazy. Leaving young men and women with these blicks just shooting for any occasion. To shoot a pregnant young lady is just something I can't relate to, even at my coldest. Now Shorty has to replay that day for the rest of his life. So remember, we gotta succeed not to fail, so we won't be just another hood tale. Man, crazy story. Rest in peace to that young couple, they unborn baby. Messed up situation all around the board, you know. They was trying to say Algernon, they was trying to say Shorty was gang related. He had some other things going on. But, you know, that's speculation, so I ain't even put that in there, man. But it never said how much money he got or none of that. So, at the end of the day, I'm not sure if he knew Shorty was pregnant. But it's just messed up, man. But, yeah, I ain't going to talk y'all head off with this one. Leave it in the comments. Definitely be respectful. Let me know what y'all think about this situation. It's all love, fam. I appreciate you if you made it to the end. It's your boy Tony 2 times. I'm out. What is going on, YouTube fam? This your boy Tony 2 times, and we back with another episode of Hood Tales, man. Before I start, be sure to tap that like button. Definitely watch this video to the end to hear the full story and all the details in the case. For all the day one fam, welcome back. Y'all already know it's all love. Thanks for tuning back into another episode. If you're new to the channel and you feeling the content, feel free to subscribe. Definitely hit that notification bell so you can be notified every time we drop a new video. Let's get right into the story. Street life changes from generation to generation. Back in the day, most beefs was about controlling territory or making money. Bodies wouldn't drop that often, but when they did, it seemed like everybody in the neighborhood knew why the person was hit. And more than likely, it was over something serious. That even though no form of murder is cool, people understood. If someone was in the mix and did something to be put on the radar, people knew to stay away from the target. And even the person themselves knew to get put up because the hitters were coming. And if a mistake was made and a woman or child was hit by shooters, the community would make that person turn themselves in, or they had to face gangsters in the neighborhood that would get them gone as well. It kept structure and principles in place. But somewhere down the line, the streets got more reckless and lawless. The goal stopped being to protect, police our own blocks, or build the community. It became male ego and focusing on petty beefs. And then came in bigger blitz, younger shooters, and an on-site culture. On-site meaning wherever I see my enemy at, no matter who's around, I'm going to shoot. Now you got straight bullets hitting innocent people who do not have anything to do with the situation at all, losing their life because of where they live. And most of the time, the beef is not about money or nothing serious, probably over words, social media, or someone saying another person's significant other, leaving more and more people gone to reckless and careless people. And on this episode of Hood Tales, we will be taking it to Waco, Texas, to discuss a case of a 33-year-old woman sitting in her own home and a neighborhood beef turning fatal. According to sources, back in 2021, Amber Nicole Fulbright was 33 years old and enjoying life. Amber's nickname for family and friends was Chicken. The young woman was born on August 31st, 1987 in Hillsboro, Texas. Until later on, she moved to Killeen, Texas. Amber would get married to a military man and travel the world. Her hobbies would be cooking, working out, and having fun with her 2 daughters. Somewhere down the line, Amber ended up staying in Waco, Texas with a roommate. The area was the Kate Ross Apartments on 937 South 11th Street in Waco. Most say the area wasn't too bad, but just like most places over the years, it became worse with a few neighborhood beefs, including a 19-year-old man named Jeremiah Hicks, who allegedly had a beef in the area. Some claimed it was with another man in the apartments we will call T. T and Jeremiah had issues from high school days, and they would escalate over the next few years, to the point on March 12th, witnesses accused the man and Jeremiah of seeing T and a few more men walking in the complex and attempted to hit them with the whip, but failed. Nothing happened after the incident, but the next day, on March 13th, things would get crazy. When late that morning, Jeremiah allegedly doubled back to the apartments, this time strapped up with a blick. While sliding through, he saw T and another man. Jeremiah then parked the car in the 1100 block of Ross Avenue and called the men to the whip. As one of them approached, shots went off from inside the vehicle, striking one of the men in both arms and the back. The victim took off on foot as the car fled the scene. Witnesses called police, who responded to the apartments to find a man about 2:30 a.m. on South 12th Street and Cleveland Avenue, suffering from multiple wounds. He was rushed to a local hospital and went into surgery. He would fortunately survive the incident. Witnesses and T, who was one of the intended targets but managed not to get hit, told police about Jeremiah allegedly declaring war on them over some beef from back in the day, even trying to run them over and then coming back blicking. He became the main focus of the investigation, but a twist in the case would happen the next day on a Saturday afternoon. Amber's roommate went to check on the young lady because it was 1:30 p.m. and she didn't come out the room yet. When her roommate entered the room, they noticed Amber laying motionless and blood around her neck. They quickly called police to the apartments. As they responded, the roommate told them Amber had a medical condition, so they didn't think anything about her sleeping in. But it started getting later and later, even for her. So they decided to check on the young lady to realize she was gone. The community was in shock, and detectives quickly made a connection that Amber was hit from a straight bullet from the shooting of the man that morning at about 2 a.m. And she had been in her bedroom, gone ever since. Neighbors were in outrage, and Jeremiah's name would come back up, not only for an attempt, but now a murder from a bullet going through Amber's window and hitting her. Jeremiah was arrested on March 18th, 5 days after the incident, on warrants from Waco and Harris County, and charged with aggravated assault. But once detectives realized who he was, and he was the same suspect from the apartments, he quickly got hit with murder charges as well. He was booked into county jail, with the case getting ready to go to trial. The young man's lawyer advised him to take a plea agreement because of witnesses from the community and a surviving victim. Also a straight bullet that hit Amber while she was in her home. Jeremiah, 20 years old at the time, pled guilty to murder and aggravated assault charges. He was sentenced to 30 years in prison. He told the court he was remorseful and the shooting of Amber wasn't his intent. He just wants to serve his time and make it back home to his family. The young man has to serve at least 15 years before being eligible for parole. Rest in peace to Amber. I send my deepest prayers and condolences to her family, especially her 2 daughters. Situations like this be crazy. For one, the people Jeremiah was trying to hit survived the whole situation, which is fortunate, but a young mother in her home, minding her own business, catches a stray over something she had nothing to do with at all. All these so-called shooters and hitters gotta understand, bullets don't have a name. And just because you got a blick don't mean just get out here and act wild because you feel disrespected. If the beef was over a high school situation between 2 men that were now grown, that just lets me know the mindset out here, holding on to a grudge from school. We got to do better. I'm not green at all. I know, unfortunately, violence will never ever stop. But hopefully, we can start thinking before we react and stop going straight to blitz. This situation, if it was that serious to Jeremiah, could have been a simple fight between men. But instead, an innocent woman is gone and he has 30 years in prison. So remember, we got to succeed, not to fail, so we won't be just another hood tale. Man, rest in peace to Amber. Like I said, she was in her home, minding her business, 2 in the morning. Her roommate ain't even know she was gone. She had been in there for hours. The young man, technically, in my opinion, he made out with only 30 years because you got to attempt and you got to hit, of an innocent bystander. But, he got to serve the first 15, then he'll be eligible for parole. He said it's not his intentions, or it wasn't his intention, and I believe that. But at the end of the day, that's what I mean by just going out here, just blicking. You thinking you doing something, you running down on people, but it's other people in the community that ain't got nothing to do with the beef. And it happens all over the world, leaving innocent people gone, man. But y'all already know. Leave it in the comments. I appreciate you if you made it to the end. This is another episode of Hood Tales. It's all love, fam. It's your boy Tony 2 times. I'm out.
What's up, YouTube fam? It's your girl, Mrs. Tony 2 times, and I'm back with another video. In this episode of Hood Tales, I'll be telling the story of Breonna Davis, a woman who snapped after she left her roommate and a friend stranded in downtown Atlanta. Before we get into this video, welcome if you're new here to our channel. Please feel free to subscribe, click that notification bell to get notified every time we upload. If you're rocking with the content, smash that like button, share this video with everyone you know. Make sure you watch until the end to hear the full story. All right, let's jump right into it. In the summer of 2016, 21-year-old Charles Rudison was a student at Georgia State University, whose main campus is located in the heart of downtown Atlanta. Charles was a business major, working his way through college at a Publix distribution center. Reports say that Charles attended high school in Gwinnett County, Georgia. People who knew Charles described him as funny, introspective, and had a self-deprecating personality. It would appear that Charles took his relationship with his friends very seriously, especially since he didn't have many blood relatives in the area and relied on his friends for support. Reports revealed that Charles's Facebook page was filled with conversations about how he felt about his friendships, life, and how to be a better man. His post on August 20th, 2016 read, "I really don't have family like that, so if I consider you my friend, to me you are essentially my family member. So I may come off as a bit sensitive and harsh if I am feeling neglected and left out, because you all really don't know how much you mean to me, and it hurts that I'm not categorized as the same. Please understand that you all are the only family I really have, and like most families, there will be arguments and periods of disagreement, but it would always be love no matter how inconsistent our relationship is. I just have these unrealistic expectations that people would think of me the same way I think of them." Before Charles Rudson's time at Georgia State, he also studied to become a writer at Georgia Southern University, where he actually wrote for the school paper. And at just 21, he was working with the mentoring group 100 Black Men of America. According to Charles's aunt, he had a lot going for him. Unfortunately, Charles's life would be cut short after a night out with his roommate turned horrifically volatile. Charles Rudison met his roommate, 22-year-old Breonna Davis, on an online student housing board. The two shared an apartment on Boulder Crest Road in DeKalb County, Georgia. On August 27, 2016, Charles, Breonna, and her friend, who I'm going to refer to as Q, were all hanging out in downtown Atlanta. For some reason, Breonna decided to ditch her roommate and friend, leaving them stranded. Charles and Q had to catch a ride via a rideshare service back to Charles's and Breonna's apartment. Once Charles and Q got back to the apartment, things immediately took a turn for the worse. At around 3:45 a.m., Breonna called 911 to report that someone had been stabbed. When officers arrived at the Ashford East Apartments, they found 21-year-old Charles Rudison lying unconscious on his back on the living room floor of the apartment he shared with Breonna. The weapon was in the kitchen sink, still bloody, the reports say. Charles suffered from a puncture wound to the left side of his chest and was rushed to Grady Memorial Hospital, where he sadly succumbed to his injuries. As the news spread, family and friends of Charles were shocked and heartbroken by the tragedy. Many of Charles's friends and classmates lamented his passing, leaving condolences and fond memories on his Facebook page. Charles's sister, who was very close to him, said it was harder to come to terms with his passing because of how brutal it was versus him losing his life to natural causes. Everyone who knew Charles was perplexed by his sudden loss. According to police reports, Breonna Davis told authorities she was going to call police because her roommate, Charles, tried to attack her. Breonna told DeKalb County Police that her friend Q and Charles were upset because she had left them downtown and they had to use a rideshare service to get back to the apartment. She went on to say that Charles came inside, he pushed her, causing her to fall. She then punctured Charles with an 8-inch kitchen blade in his chest. However, according to Brianna's friend Q, who witnessed what happened, told the story a little differently. According to what Q told police, she said her and Charles walked into the apartment and Charles simply asked Brianna why'd she left them. At that instant, Brianna grabbed a pot of boiling water from the stove and threw it on Charles, according to the police report. Brianna then grabbed the blade and did the unthinkable. According to Q's account, it only took 20 seconds from the time she and Charles walked into the apartment to the moment when Charles was fatally wounded. Brianna Davis was arrested and was booked into a county jail, charged with 1 count of murder. 10 months to the year of Charles's tragic slaying, Brianna Davis pleaded guilty to voluntary manslaughter. A judge sentenced her to 20 years in prison. The prosecution allowed Brianna to plead to the lesser offense after extensive discussions with Charles's family. Charles's sister said she wished the years were longer, but felt as though at least she got punishment for what she had done. Even to this day, a motive for the heinous crime is still a mystery. Rest in peace to Charles Rudison. May his light and legacy continue to live on through his relationships and the memories he shared with all who cared for him. My condolences to his family and loved ones. I am so sorry for your loss. No one is perfect, but Charles seemed to have a personality that one would cherish coming in contact with. I am baffled as to what could have caused Brianna Davis to lash out and take his life. The whole scenario just seems so unprovoked. She left them stranded, but yet she zaps out when they're upset at her and want answers as to why you ditched them and left them without a ride. Now, I have a theory that I could be completely wrong about, but here's my opinion. Brianna saw Charles as more than a roommate. There's no speculation or confirmation that they had something between them, but Brianna's actions kind of spew of a woman scorned. Maybe at their night out, Charles and Brianna's friend were vibing, even if it was just platonic, and she probably felt like the third wheel, which caused her to get in her feelings, ditching them, leaving them to have to figure out a way home. I believe she had thoughts on confronting Charles, followed through with it, and sadly took his life. I don't know if she knew her friend was also coming back to the apartment. In addition to a traumatic experience, her friend could have been harmed too. Luckily for her, that wasn't the case, and she was there to possibly shed light on what really happened that night. But that's just my opinion. These are not facts, okay? So tell me your thoughts on this heartbreaking story in the comments below. All right, fam, that's it for this episode of Hood Tales. Thank you all so much for watching. Please don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. This is your girl, Mrs. Tony 2 Times, and I'm out.